This is one of those cases that shows the extent of systemic corruption and impunity in Kenya, a country where a woman, in this case Mary Lillian Waithera, can be murdered in broad daylight on the streets of Nairobi in what was clearly an assassination. Welcome to Silent Shadows. As always, if you appreciate our true crime storytelling, support our fortnightly series by liking and subscribing. Together we uncover compelling tales of crimes and mysteries in Kenya and beyond, presenting well-balanced narratives that respect the victims and their loved ones. Monday 13th February 2023 was a typical day at work for 46-year-old Mary Lillian Waithera, a junior registry officer at NHIF, Upper Hill branch. Her afternoon became hectic when the NHIF systems experienced a glitch affecting some of the hospitals in the country. Having worked at NHIF for 15 years, Mary, known for her diligence, promptly worked to restore the systems. Once everything was sorted out, she sent a message to the affected hospitals in their WhatsApp group at around 4:54 p.m., informing them that the systems were back up and addressing any other queries they had. After finishing her tasks, Mary wrapped up her day and headed home with her colleague called Damaris Ochieng. At the NHIF premises, they requested a lift from one of the drivers, asking to be dropped off at the Nairobi CBD. The driver declined, stating he had a meeting at the NHIF building and was not leaving immediately. Consequently, Mary and Damaris decided to walk. This is from NHIF offices in Upper Hill to the Nairobi CBD. The two women walked briskly, trying to beat the Nairobi rush hour madness, and chatted joyfully about various topics. Mary was particularly looking forward to getting home to her loving husband, Paul Mbogo, with whom she shared a wholesome relationship with, and her two sons. Little did she know that she would not make it home, as her life would soon be tragically taken by an unknown assassin. When they got to the Nairobi CBD, this was some minutes past 5 p.m. According to the CCTV camera, the two women, Mary and Damaris, can be seen walking from Jubilee Insurance Building after crossing from EcoBank. They then cross Kaunda Street at Hamilton House and stop at Optica Eye Care and Eyewear Outlet on Kaunda Street. As they left Optica and were crossing the road near the Jubilee Insurance Building parking lot, Mary held her chest in pain and told her friend Damaris, "Nimeumia," which translates to, "I have been injured," before collapsing to the ground with blood oozing from her nose and mouth. What is surprising is she did not have any blood on her clothes.
So blood. Now, we did not actually see blood on her clothes. It was just the blood that was oozing from her mouth, so we didn't quite know what the problem was.
Everything happened so fast, without any scuffle or noise, and some people at the scene even told reporters they thought Mary had had a heart attack. Two men who were passing by helped pull Mary from the parking lot to the pavement as Damaris frantically called for an ambulance, which arrived 25 minutes later. The paramedics who arrived with the ambulance spent 11 minutes at the scene trying to stabilize Mary before rushing her to Nairobi Hospital, where she was declared dead on arrival. At this point, no one at the scene, including Mary's friend Damaris, knew what had happened to Mary. Mary's body was then moved to the Nairobi Hospital mortuary, and according to reports, the police initially classified her death as a sudden death, probably from a heart attack. However, the following day, Tuesday, 14th February 2023, Mary's family transferred her body to Kenyatta University mortuary. During the autopsy conducted shortly thereafter by Dr. Kamonde, to the shock of her family, friends, work colleagues, and the country at large, it was determined that Mary died as a result of a single gunshot wound. The autopsy report further revealed the bullet had passed through her left collarbone and lodged in her left lung. It also indicated the gunshot came from an elevated angle, likely from one of the high-rise buildings near the scene, and the ballistic report from the recovered bullet revealed it was fired from a 9mm pistol. Subsequently, on the same day, Tuesday, 14th February 2023, the police changed their statement, acknowledging that the cause of Mary's death was due to a gunshot. This further prompted the police to investigate the incident, and they sought to answer the following questions. From which building was Mary shot from? Who was responsible? And what was the motive? Was it an accident or was it murder? As the public got wind of Mary's death, social media was rife with speculations that she had been assassinated and that it had something to do with the corruption at NHIF. To curb these rumors, NHIF released a statement on Thursday, 16th February 2023, urging the public to stop the speculations that Mary's death was orchestrated by someone or persons within the fund, and they urged the public to allow the police to do their job. Unfortunately, the police wouldn't get to do their job, and we would never get to know what truly happened to Mary. So let's tackle the questions one by one, starting with which building Mary was shot from. The police theorized that the shooter was positioned at one of the two high-rise buildings at the scene where she was killed. This is Hamilton House or EcoBank Towers. The police could not, however, definitely determine which building she had been shot from. Regarding who shot Mary, the police suggested, since the killer used a 9mm firearm and not a sniper's rifle, it was unlikely a hired sniper was involved.
Bullet head recovered was 9mm. That is a pistol. And obviously there are various suspicions, perhaps could there be snipers. But from my experience, I would say that was not the work of a sniper. Snipers ordinarily will use rifles with longer barrels for purposes of accuracy. And the shorter the barrel, the lesser the accuracy. The longer the barrel, the more the accuracy. So if a sniper indeed wanted to eliminate, then he would not have opted to use a pistol for that matter.
It is important to highlight that just because the killer used a 9mm firearm, it doesn't mean they weren't a sniper. A 9mm firearm with a noise suppressor can be used from an elevated position to commit such a heinous act, but it requires a highly skilled person to do so, which actually indicates that a sniper was actually involved but chose a more common firearm to avoid raising suspicion of a planned assassination. Imagine this: if a sniper's rifle had been used and a bullet from the said firearm found in Mary, it would have made big news, attracting public outcry, media attention, and involvement of human rights organizations. The investigators further hypothesized that Mary's shooting might have been an accident, where someone discharged their firearm by mistake, possibly when they were cleaning it, taking Mary's life. This theory holds as much water as a sieve. If it were an accident, there would have been noise from the firearm being discharged. People would have seen it happen, and Mary wouldn't have been shot so discreetly. The manner in which Mary was shot was so calculated that no one had gunshots or saw anything. Even those with Mary, including the paramedics, couldn't tell she had been shot. This was only discovered during her autopsy, as previously mentioned. To reduce the pressure from the public to catch the killer, the police arrested one Julius Mwangi, a 38-year-old businessman, on Monday, 20th February 2023 at around 2 p.m. Julius, who is a licensed firearm holder, was at the Jubilee Insurance Building in the Nairobi CBD at the time of the shooting, but his firearm was in his car. After he was arrested, he also had to surrender his firearm to the police for a ballistic examination to determine if the bullets matched that had killed Mary. The ballistic test results came back negative, indicating he was not involved in the shooting. This forced the police back to the drawing board, and sadly, to this date, they have never found Mary's killer. So what was the motive behind Mary's death? Who stood to benefit the most from her demise? According to her husband, Paul Mbogo, Mary did not have any known enemies, and as for their relationship, they did not have any issues. They had been together for 17 years, since 2006, sharing a very close bond. Paul mentioned that Mary would tell him everything, including if she was in trouble. They had no secrets between them. He further stated she never mentioned fearing for her life, leaving the motive for her death a mystery.
One thing that made us live in harmony is there were no secrets, if you can call them. Everything, in case she needed anything, is someone who could bring things on the table, someone who could express herself, someone, if at all there was anything that she feared, she could have said it. And all that time, it was saddening that she didn't express any fear of her life.
But looking at the company she worked for, NHIF, one cannot help but wonder if she knew something that led to her death. As per different news outlets, during the prayers held on Thursday, 23rd February 2023, at the murder scene on Kaunda Street, Nairobi, by Mary's friends, family, and work colleagues, her work colleagues were allegedly heard murmuring that Mary's life may have been taken because of the information she had regarding corruption at her workplace, allegedly.
We are praying for the security of this man, Jehovah God.
Here's the thing. NHIF is no stranger to numerous corruption and fraud scandals involving billions of Kenyan shillings being embezzled from the fund and funneled into private pockets. These scandals have also included the lives of the whistleblowers being threatened, allegedly. For example, just 4 months after Mary's death, an expose by NTV, one of Kenya's media houses, revealed how various hospitals, in collusion with NHIF staff, were stealing millions from the fund. While this scandal may not be directly related to Mary's murder, it highlights NHIF's deeply entrenched corruption. The theory that Mary may have been silenced for what she knew is not far-fetched. If it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, well, it is a duck. A requiem mass was held to celebrate Mary's life on Tuesday, 21st February 2023 at Kariobangi Catholic Church. During the mass, which was attended by Mary's family, friends, work colleagues, and the NHIF leadership, Mary was remembered as diligent and committed to her work, and her husband eulogized her as being a loving wife and doting mother who left such a void that could not be filled.
Left a big gap inside me. And every morning I wake up and the gap becomes bigger and bigger. Many questions that I ask myself. But I'm praying to God, He may give me strength for the sake of these 2 young ones, so that I may be able to fulfill all the dreams that we had with Mary.
Mary was later laid to rest at Kamugunda village in Moya, Kirinyaga County. We may never know why Mary's life was cut short or who was responsible, but one thing is clear. Our country's systems are deeply corrupt, with individuals determined to plunder public resources for their own enrichment. In their pursuit of self-preservation, they will stop at nothing, even if it means taking innocent lives. Today we remember Lillian and others like her, including Winnie Kimani, Jacob Juma, Daniel Muthiani aka Sniper, and many others who courageously spoke out against the injustices in our country. but tragically their lives were taken in the process. We also honor the memory of the brave young people whose lives were taken by the Kenyan police during the protests against the 2024 Finance Bill. Additionally, we remember those who lost their lives during the police-led Githurai killings. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Thank you for joining us today. If you appreciated this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be notified when the next video is up. Until then, please take care, stay safe, and always trust your gut.